This is Scott the Fix-It Guy. Today we're dealing with a Miele dishwasher that constantly drains. So when you close the door and you turn it on, the drain kicks in like it normally would, but it doesn't stop. It just keeps draining and draining and draining and draining. And this indicates that some water has gotten into the bottom drip tray. So we need to check that out and sponge out the water that's there to make the dishwasher work again, and then figure out why water got in there in the first place. So I'm going to remove this bottom kick panel, make sure we've unplugged it already. I'm using a Phillips head screwdriver on a little ratchet that lets me get into a tight spot, and I just have to remove these two Phillips head screws to get this bottom plate off, and that'll give me access to the drip pan. So now I need to grab the plate and wiggle it loose. This one's on there pretty tight, so I'm going to pull it off from one end and then get that off to the side. Then we have really easy access to the drip pan. We just need a sponge and a bowl to be able to get the water out. Ended up being about 2 cups of water. So I'm just going to confirm that it's unplugged, because you don't want to combine electricity with water and putting your hand in there. You're going to get shocked bad. So confirm that it's unplugged, and now I'll just use my sponge to push in on the water in the drip tray, get it nice and wet, and then I'll just wring it out into the bowl. You might have to do that 15 to 20 times. In this case, it was probably 12 times get rid of all the water. Just depends how much water gets in there. So again, just put it in, saturate it, and then squeeze out the water. You can also take the dishwasher out of the cabinet and tip it at 45 degrees onto a towel. And that'll get the water out really fast. This method just helps you avoid having to remove it from the cabinet, which sometimes, because of the way the flooring is designed, is very difficult. So we've got the water out, and we're going to turn it on, pick a cycle. I'm going to use program number 3. And then you can hear it draining like it should, and then we can hear the water start filling in.
This is the normal sound. Well, I got this water out.
The problem with this dishwasher is that the water kept filling in and wouldn't stop. The fill valve opened up but remained open. So I'm just looking underneath here to see if I can see any leak while it's filling.
It just happens. So I gotta change.
I don't see a leak, but I notice that the fill just keeps going and going longer than it should, and that points to a faulty fill valve, and that's why it flooded in the first place. The fill valve would open, but then it wouldn't turn off. Even when I unplugged it, it still wouldn't turn off. So I'm going to put on a new fill valve. Here's the part number, and this is just a generic one. This is not a Miele fill valve. The Miele fill valve is kind of pricey. It comes in at about $220, and these are $40 to $60. And I'm going to put some Teflon tape around this elbow fitting, and then I'll screw it into the fill valve, and then I'll use a wrench to twist it about 1 full turn beyond what I can do with my hand to get it really tight. And that Teflon tape just helps prevent any leaks. It's important. You don't have to put Teflon tape on the other threads that the hose goes onto, because that's a compression fitting. So we got that on tight, and we unplugged it, made sure we have the water fully off, because we're going to now remove the old fill valve. I'm just going to put the new hose on this elbow fitting. I'm getting this fill valve ready to install, and then I'll remove the old one This video does not have the final steps of putting on the fill valve, which just entail putting some spade connectors onto the electrical power connector coming from the dishwasher, and then putting those spade connectors onto the fill valve. Just ran out of video. So now we're using a standard head screwdriver to pry open the plastic case that fits around the old fill valve. And these fill valves just fail over time. This one, again, is in the stuck open position, and sometimes they won't open at all. I'm pulling back this outer tube, and I'm going to hold it in position with a pair of vice grips just to give me a nice open operatory field to work. Otherwise, this tube will keep coming back on you. We notice the blue tube, that's carrying water from the house to the dishwasher, and the black line is the 110 volts AC that brings power to the fill valve. So I'm now using my pliers to move the spring clamp back. I want to move it back about 6-7 inches away from the fill valve. It's actually a pretty easy procedure, shouldn't take you that long, and pretty common for the Miele fill valves to have trouble. The rest of the dishwasher, I think, is excellent and lasts a long time. The fill valves just have trouble. So about maybe 6 inches away from the fill valve, I'll make a cut through the blue tube with my diagonal pliers, my snips. And it's a pretty tough tube, so I'll use that. You can also use a razor blade, would work. Then I also have to cut that black wire. So thanks so much for watching, and please subscribe when you get a chance.